Hey everybody, it's Sandra again. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel, Plant Rich Sandra. I am a nutritarian and I started this channel so that I could share some ideas with everybody on what it means to be a nutritarian and also to give myself a little boost here to get the last 27 pounds off. I thought that maybe this would kind of encourage me a little bit more to kind of kick me in the pants here to help me get my final few pounds off so I can get to maintenance. So pardon how I look today, please. I got up at 2:30 this morning to grade some papers, and I know I look like death warmed over right now. I'm pretty tired. I've been running on fumes most of the day today. I know that I don't look my best, but just bear with me. This episode is what I consider mostly an unpleasant episode, but I'm excited to get through it so that I can get to the one that I'm really looking forward to, the very next episode. So today I am in part 3 of a 4-part series that I'm currently doing. In part 1, which was my episode number 1 of this channel, I confessed to some recent incidences of me breaking with what I was trying to do, try to do, my nutritarian lifestyle. Because of emotional reasons, I broke and I engaged in some emotional eating, what I call unauthorized eating. That's part 1 of this series, episode 2, I'm sorry, of this of my channel. And in episode 3 was part 2, where I discussed what are the differences between emotional eating versus actual physical hunger. Emotional hunger versus physical hunger. That was the previous episode. If you haven't had a chance to watch those two, I would like to recommend that you go back and watch those two, which is episode 2 and episode 3 on my channel. Today, episode 4, is the 3rd part of this little 4-part series, and I'm going to be listing a few reasons why people do give in to their feelings of emotional hunger. It can sometimes feel very overwhelming, the feelings of emotional hunger, which Dr. Furman calls toxic hunger, and I'm going to talk about those today. And 5 of them are rather unpleasant reasons. One of them not so unpleasant, but 5 of them can be unpleasant reasons. So we have to get through this today. But like I said, I'm really looking forward to the final part of this 4-part series, which is I'm going to be offering you some tips or some tools, as I like to call them, coping tools, to maybe help you to resist the next time you are faced with an overwhelming urge to give in to emotional hunger or to toxic hunger. There are lots of things you can do to resist that urge. And so the next episode will be fun and hopefully very helpful, very hopeful, and I'm really looking forward to that episode. I've found lots of good ideas, and I've kind of come up with a few good ideas on my own that I'm looking forward to sharing with you. So let's get through this unpleasant episode. Okay, first of all, here is a reason why you might give in to emotional eating, and it is an inability to tolerate some yucky feelings that may come on you. You want to not think about unpleasant feelings, and we are taught from a very early age to use food as a distraction from uncomfortable emotions. At this point, I would like to share a personal story with you of when that did happen, specifically to my younger son. When he was maybe 4 years old, we went to Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios Islands of Adventure in Orlando. And it was me, my ex-husband, our 2 boys, and they were like 4 and 7 at the time, and another little boy who was a friend with my older son. And so we went on a ride that completely soaked us, and when we came off of it, we all went to the bathroom. I went to the women's bathroom by myself, and my ex took the boys into the men's bathroom. And I was in there a long time because I was completely wet, and I was trying to dry off, refix my hair, my makeup. And when I came out, my ex-husband was standing there, and he said, "Did Ian go in with you?" I'm like, "No, he didn't go in with me. He went in with you." He goes, "Well, he's not in the men's bathroom. He did not come out. He's not in there." So we spent 15 minutes, the whole, place was looking for him. They were calling around on walkie-talkies. We described what he was wearing, and it took 15 interminable minutes before they found him. And I don't even know how long it was, that he was out walking around, looking for me, before I came out of the bathroom, and my ex said, "Where is he?" And so finally they found him, and he had headed back over to the Jurassic Park section looking for me. He thought I was back over there, and he was all alone, 4 years old, out there. So when they found him, and they walkie-talkied back, radioed back to us, and we ran over there was my little 4-year-old crying. He had tears here, and he had soft-serve chocolate ice cream here. They just tried to distract him from his feelings of fear and being all by himself with chocolate soft-serve ice cream. And it didn't occur to me until I was putting this episode together that they were perpetuating a very common thing that we do, which is distract ourselves with food from unpleasant feelings. And it really hit home when I read that this is one of the reasons that people do this. So I would also like to mention a few other unpleasant emotions that humans frequently use food to take these emotions out of their minds. And perhaps you can identify with one or more of these unpleasant emotions. Anger. When you get really mad at somebody, sometimes we stuff our anger down with food. We just want to eat. Fear, like what happened with my son. They taught him to use food as a distraction from his fear. Frustration. Have you ever felt frustration with your situation and you've used food? You got to eat, I got to eat. Do you think that that'll make you feel better? Have you ever used food to be distracted from being bored? Have you ever felt anxious, felt anxiety, and used food to not have to face your anxiety? What about loneliness? Do you ever feel lonely and you use food to not have to think about the fact that you're alone? Have you ever felt shame and you have used food to take your mind off of your shame for some situation of your past? Have you ever felt resentment towards someone, maybe at your work or a family member, and you don't want to think about it, so you go eat to not have to think about those deep feelings of resentment that you have towards somebody? We numb ourselves with food to not have to experience unpleasant feelings. We self-medicate with food rather than face difficult emotions. The other is an anecdote that I heard from one of the people being interviewed on Big Change, the film. And if y'all have not watched any of those episodes on YouTube, I highly recommend them. They're all amazing. So just get on YouTube and look for Big Change, the film, and just interview after interview with people who have lost substantial amounts of weight, and they talk about their history and how they finally managed to overcome and to gain success at weight loss and some of them maintenance for several years even. The story was that two little boys, Billy and Bobby, are playing out in the driveway, riding their bikes in Bobby's driveway, and Billy falls off his bike and he scrapes his knee. And so the mother, Bobby's mom, is looking out the window. She sees it. She runs out there. Once she determines that he's okay, that it's a scraped knee, but he's going to live, she doesn't need to call 911. She runs back in the house and she gets a couple of chocolate chip cookies and brings them out to him, wrapped up in a paper towel. And he takes one of the cookies and he starts rubbing it on the scratch, And he's like, "Well, thank you, but it's not really helping." She goes, "No, honey, you eat it." And when I heard that story the other day, again, it just hit home. What did chocolate chip cookies have to do with his scraped knee? nothing. But she was programmed herself to use food as self-medication against something like a physical pain. And but that little boy had not been. So he's like, this is not really helping. You know, he just rubbed it on. I mean, he had a wound, and she brought him something. So, and that resonated with me again. That we use food for the wrong reasons. So the first one is inability to tolerate bad feelings. Okay, the second one is go to this one here. Is again boredom, or possibly feelings of emptiness. You have a void, an empty spot you feel inside of you, and you try to use food to fill that void. Personally, I rarely get bored. I don't know, I just don't really, I mean, my mind is always, I think about something, so I don't really have a lot of instances in my past where I have used food for boredom. So this one did not resonate with me. But many people do use food to combat feelings of boredom. Just to give themselves something to do, they'll eat. So food will, just for the moment, we think it will fill us up, and it will distract us from our constant feeling. Perhaps if you have that feeling of emptiness, that this is really hard to talk about. If this resonates with you, you know, it's kind of hard for me to go through this one. If people who maybe feel like they have no purpose in their life, they have no direction in their life, and they're dissatisfied with the direction that their life has gone up until then, so they eat to distract themselves from their feelings of dissatisfaction with where they are in their life at that moment. So that is another reason that people will use food. Another one, which if you go back and watch my episode number 2, where I confessed to incidences of giving in, the worst one was when I allowed myself to get beyond hungry one day, and that was at Legoland when I mentioned that. And I was beyond the point of no return. And if you saw that episode, then you recall that I laid into a pizza and pasta bar at Legoland. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It had been hours since I'd had breakfast. I did not take any food with me, any of my food with me, and I waited too late, and I was not thinking. I had stopped, I was beyond rational thought, and I filled a plate. I even had made myself a salad. I sat down with the salad from the salad bar, but there was nothing there I could put on my salad. There was no separate vinegar. There were no lemon wedges, and I lost it. So that salad sat there uneaten, and I went up to the pizza and pasta bar and loaded a plate, came back, downed it as quickly as I could. No thinking, no time to think. Went back, loaded another plate, came back, ate it, went back and got desserts, came back and ate it. I wasn't even thinking. I was just down, whoosh, eating it, no thinking. And it was because I had made the fatal error of letting myself get too hungry, beyond the point of no return. And I didn't know anything about intermittent fasting. I wasn't prepared to be hungry as you would be if you were planning on intermittent fasting or water fasting. You're prepared, mentally steeled and ready. You know hunger is coming. That wasn't the case. I wasn't ready for that. Your body sends a very, very clear message to you when you get to that point. Feed me. And you do it. You give in. If you're not careful, you will give in. You're super hungry. You're thinking about eating, just eating, and you are not on your A game, and your defenses are down, and you are not equipped to fight off those kinds of cravings and urges. So letting yourself get too hungry is another reason that people frequently give in to emotional eating. It's because you're beyond physical hunger, comfortable physical hunger, and you lose it. The next one is stress. And stress does make us hungry. When you're stressed out, whether it's time stress or situation going around you, you're trying to work something out and you're feeling anxiety or stress, it's not in your head that you suddenly get very, very hungry. It is not an imaginary thing. It is actually a physical or a chemical reaction, because the stress hormone that we release, which is called cortisol, believe it or not, will trigger cravings, physical hunger cravings. Salt, sugar, and fried foods. We are craving that. And the reason we crave those is because we feel that those will give us an instant burst of energy and pleasure. And we feel like, God, I need that right now. So we actually do feel an instant hunger because of the cortisol in our system. If you live with a lot of uncontrolled stress in your life, then you are more likely to turn to food for emotional relief. So stress is a major factor in giving in to emotional hunger. Please keep in mind, my next episode is going to offer some suggestions for resisting all of these. Okay, so be sure you tune in to my episode 5, which will be part 4, the final part of this little series on emotional hunger, or as Dr. Furman calls it, toxic hunger. The next one, I experienced this. This one, again, resonates with me very, very deeply. I experienced this just 2 weeks ago, and it is social influences on us. And so what happened for me was that I was with my friend Harry, and we were at a place, a very, kind of a, I don't know what you'd call it, kind of an entertainment complex area. Lots of people walking around, Christmas decorations everywhere. We could hear Christmas music playing through the speakers. And, people were, there was live music. There were lots of restaurants, that offer like sports bars and that kind of thing. Every other place was a restaurant, ice cream shops, candy shops, coffee shops, little cafes, RJ Gators, lots of fun places. And we were really enjoying walking around out there and, just listening to the music and looking at people, having fun. And people brought their dogs dressed in Christmas outfits. And then it occurred to, I'm a nutritarian, he is not. And it occurred to me, well, the natural thing to want to do here is to pull into one of these restaurants and get some appetizers. And that's what I would have very naturally done 3 years ago. It would have been like, hey, let's go in and get some wings, or anything like that. And so my first thought was, I wonder if Harry wants to go in and get a bite. I mean, he's trying to be nice. He's not saying any, he knows I'm a nutritarian, so he's not asking me. But he might, would like to. And so I felt compelled to offer to go in. We had not had dinner yet. Dinner was waiting back at the house, and I had my nutritarian food waiting for me back at the house, but we were going there before to eating dinner. If I had gone in to one of those fun restaurants, would there have been anything for me? Probably not, except for iceberg lettuce with some tomato slices, and that would have been it. It was like a garden salad, and it's a crapshoot whether or not they're going to have anything you can put on it. Lemon wedges, probably. Just having vinegar by itself, probably not, because they don't always, sometimes it's mixed already when they get it. So I felt the urge to, offer and see if he wanted to. And I did ask, and he said, no, I'm good, wait till we get back and eat then. But I can see that being an issue for a lot of situations where you feel pressured. Maybe to drink something that you are not wanting to drink, because if you're trying to do without sugary drinks, perhaps you have given up beer and wine and alcoholic beverages simply because you're trying not to drink your calories, like Dr. Furman recommends that we not, drink our calories, and drinking things that are, pure sugar. Or you, well, like I said, or everybody else is there eating and drinking, and you don't want to stand out as being the only person who isn't, and so you're abstaining, and you feel like you stand out like a sore thumb, and everybody's like, here, why aren't you, and so you feel, okay, well, I'll just do it this time, just this time. Or perhaps you're feeling self-conscious. Maybe you're at a party and you're feeling nervous about the crowd, feeling like maybe you're not being accepted, you don't belong with this crowd, they're different from you, and so the nerves are going to cause you to want to head to the appetizer table and eat, or to drink some of the punch, simply because you are scared and nervous there, okay? Or perhaps you're at an event with a lot of beloved family and friends, and they are actually encouraging you. Just this once, try this. I made this, and you've got to try it, because I spent a lot of time on this. So they're encouraging you to engage in some unauthorized eating or drinking just this once. So so this situation would be social influences that would cause you to give in. Okay, those are all the ones I consider kind of, either very unpleasant or, kind of unpleasant. This next one is not unpleasant. This one is a very positive feeling that we get that leads us to engage in unauthorized eating or drinking. And this one is childhood habits. Did you ever make awesome grades on a report card and your reward was food? We have a place here in town that will offer you an ounce of froyo for every A that you get on your report card. You just take your report card in, and if you have 7 A's, you get 7 ounces of froyo. So they are rewarding good behavior with food. And again, when I stop and think about it, I'm thinking, I know they're trying to do a business, but really, what are we saying to our youth when we set them up to associate food with as a reward for good behavior? Can't there be non-food rewards for good behavior? Another is when you're little and you're sad, and your mom offers you cookies when you're feeling sad, or like I mentioned before, when you get hurt. We're taught as a child to, we use food as a distraction from physical pain, as we've already mentioned. Another is our cherished memories, our feelings of nostalgia. Do you recall the wonderful smells when your dad was out grilling in the backyard, and you go out there, if you're a guy, and you remember your dad teaching you how to grill and the smells of a grill, and you want to recreate that as a dad yourself. You want to recreate that and teach your son, and as soon as you get married, you get your own place, you go get a grill, and you reproduce those feelings of nostalgia of you with your dad. Or being in the kitchen baking Christmas cookies with your mom or your grandmother. Or, I remember one of my grandmothers was famous for her red velvet cake and German chocolate cake, which was always my request on my birthday. And so when I think of German chocolate cake, I have very, very fond memories of my grandmother making it for my birthday dinner, because we all got to pick what we wanted, everything for our birthday dinner. And so I always, I know exactly what I used to ask for my birthday dinner. And my brother's birthday dinner, I remember what he asked for. My other grandmother was famous for her dressing and her coconut cream cake. She was very good at making that. So I have these cherished memories of that. Excuse me. Or was there a place where you were growing up that everybody hung out, and that place is still there maybe? And so when you go home to visit family, you like to go back there. Maybe it was the local diner, the malt shop. And so you like to go back there and get some things that you had when you were a kid. Maybe now you live in the South, and there are some things from when you were a kid growing up north that you like to have again when you go back home. So childhood habits would be and feelings of nostalgia and wanting to bring back some of those pleasant memories. Smells. will bring back those memories, or seeing things will bring back those memories. So that would be my final reason that I wanted to discuss today, is childhood habits. So these were 6, today we talked about 6 reasons why we might give in to emotional eating, into toxic hunger, to emotional hunger. All very good reasons. I'm sure there are more, but I just wanted to touch on those. And once again, please join me on my next episode. I plan to record it tomorrow, and it's going to be a whole bunch of ways that you can overcome the urge to give in to emotional eating. So I hope you join me tomorrow. And just as a recap, I'm Sandra, and this is Plant Rich Sandra, and I keep forgetting to say this, but if you liked this video, can you click like? And if you love this video, then can you subscribe to this video right down below here? And I started out at 252 pounds. I also keep forgetting to say this, just to give you a background. And I now weigh 146, and I'm on my way down to 120 is my goal. Dr. Furman says that would be a good weight for me. And I've been a nutritarian now for a little over 2 years. And I wanted to start this channel also because I feel like we have some awesome people who are dedicated to the nutritarian lifestyle on YouTube. But our numbers are so low compared to, say, vegetarian channels and vegan channels. And so I hope that my information will help also vegans and vegetarians. And if you're thinking about becoming a nutritarian, I hope that I can kind of help guide you toward that as well. So thanks again for listening to me, and I hope you have a great day, and look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye-bye.